Thank you so much. Thank you, chairs, for holding this really, really important hearing today. Thank you for all who have testified. I've got a lot to say in a very short amount of time, so please bear with me. For those that don't know, my mother retired as a captain in correction. I have seen Rikers Island on various occasions, and very recently as well. So I guess my overarching statement to the administration is that atrocities against detainees and officers have been happening for years. What took you so long to come to the realization that ignoring this would ultimately lead to crisis and chaos? That's my first question off the top. The next thing that I'd like to say is by no other greater means a crisis of humanitarianism against Black and brown individuals who are resident in these jails. There is a lack of respect, there is a lack of concern, and there is a lack of care for people who are primarily Black and brown in our jail system. I also like to highlight the sexual assault of women officers on Rikers Island that can speak today, which gets little to no attention when it comes to forums like this. But I will continue to be that voice for these women who continue to be sexually harassed, raped, violated. In fact, one woman was actually violated while she was pregnant inside of Rikers Island. We have a federal law called PREA law. It's Prison Rape Elimination Act. It was under President George Bush. And it happens to penalize those officers who commit violations against inmates, yet there is no such law protecting female officers inside of our jails against the same atrocities that are happening as we speak right now. So I am asking for PREA recognition in our jails for our women. I would like to know, to what extent does the DOC keep track of sexual harassment and assault against female officers? What is the rate of assault against female officers in our jail? I'd like to also know, when it comes to housing detainees, what was the thought process behind creating and keeping gang members housed together? What was that thought process, and how has that benefited anyone involved in this scenario today? Thank you, chairs. I have a lot more to say.
Thank you. Can you guys, you can start answering those questions.
I'm sorry, Chair. I apologize. Did you ask me something at that point?
I asked very specific questions.
Oh, no, I know. I was asking if Chairman,
No, I was asking you to answer the question. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Look, and I'll hand it over to the commissioner. Every single thing you're saying, we're not changing. We are recognizing again the emergency. We have been trying, and I compliment the commissioner with great faith in, and the team he's put together to address these issues. It needed more, and the mayor acted yesterday with the emergency. That's how we believe we're going to address this. Commissioner, you want to add, please?
Yes. This is the only uniformed staff in the city of New York that is predominantly people of color, and the only uniformed staff in the city of New York that is majority women. And of course, the population who's incarcerated here, overwhelmingly people of color. And I cannot help but agree with you that for decades, that's been part of why this is a system that suffered neglect. I have personally spoken to the staff members who raise issues around sexual assault, and I'm horrified by the issues they've raised. I've asked my chief of staff, Dana Wax, to specifically meet with them and create a plan to address this issue. I'm going to turn it over to her on that. And then also the detainee questions, the gang question, I'm going to ask Chief Stukes to address that question. But I absolutely am concerned about the issues you raised, Councilmember Adams.
Commissioner, before we go, I just have to get this in there because I have to compliment you and your heart for this work. be it known on the record that your predecessor as a woman left you a deplorable legacy in correction.
I feel like you and I have had these discussions, council member, and I value them tremendously. I hate this hearing, not because you guys are telling falsehoods, but because you're telling the truth. This is extremely painful to sit through as a person who spent his entire career trying to fix the garbage that mass incarceration has left us with. I appreciate you guys kicking me around on it. You should kick me around on it. And I don't know what else to say about that, but I'm going to turn it over to Chief of Staff Dana Wax and to Chief Stooks on the gang issue. First, Dana on the sexual assaults. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Councilmember Adams. First, I want to thank you for bringing this issue to light and for centering the women of this department, and specifically centering and speaking up for the women of color who work in this department. It has not happened in prior years. It should have, and I appreciate your advocacy. As one of the highest ranking female members of this department, it breaks my heart that women here are suffering sexual trauma and the effects of that trauma. And I am dedicated to seeing that end, and I am dedicated to working with those women and helping them heal from what they've experienced. We've spoken about this before, but in brief, first let me say that I have met with the highest ranking female COBA delegates roughly every 2 to 3 weeks over the past 3 months. I'm working with them and the Office to End Gender-Based Violence to develop a plan to address this issue and to provide services to our members of service. In brief, that involves prosecutions for persons who are assaulting our staff members. We have prosecuted or re-arrested, we've re-arrested 8 people in custody this year alone, one of them for a felony. We are also in the process of finalizing dedicated trauma services with some of our city's top providers, including a warm handoff for DOC staff members to those providers through the Office of Gender-Based Violence. I am also working to get dedicated training to help our leaders across the department have these difficult conversations with staff members. And I'm also working with external providers to work with the young men, in particular in our custody, to help stop this behavior before it starts. Again, I really thank you for bringing light to this issue, and I hope that we can continue to partner on this in the months to come.
We have no choice but to partner. Thank you, Dana. My final comment will be that my fear is that some of those who are out right now considered AWOL who have been traumatized because of their experiences of sexual assault within the walls of the jail. Thank you for your testimony today.